Welcome, and thank you for joining us today for a Land Services SA webinar on the secure online payment for manual dealing lodgements. This is a pre-recorded session with a live Q&A session at the end of this presentation. We ask that you kindly hold all your questions until the allocated time, where one of our subject matter experts will be able to assist. Land Service SA's industry education program covers key topics and frequently asked questions and is designed to help industry keep up to date with current practices. Our subject matter experts assist in preparing and delivering our industry education webinar series, utilising their years of experience and respected place in the industry. This webinar was prepared by Flynn Stewart, Manager Registration Services. Flynn leads the registration and property examination teams, delivering efficient land registry services in South Australia. Flynn is actively involved in industry engagement and education initiatives that support legal and conveyancing professionals and promote service excellence across the sector. With a legal background and prior experience with government agencies, he is an experienced operational leader who is always happy to hear from and engage with industry members. Rebecca Fogarty, Registration Officer. Rebecca has over 6 years experience within the registration team with a focus on compliance examinations for the past 3 years. She is currently training in the Senior Registration Officer role and assists Land Services SA with system testing for SALIS upgrades, including projects such as the Secure File Upload Portal and this check replacement project. During this webinar, we will be discussing the National Check Transition Plan, the new secure online payment for dealing lodgements. We will have a look at an example of the email link and payment identifier, how you go about making a payment, what happens when there is a non-payment of fees via the payment gateway, some important things to note with this new solution, and we'll finish off with a summary of key points from this presentation. The Commonwealth Government has committed to phasing out cheque payments in Australia by the end of 2029. The Cheques Transition Plan, Winding Down Australia's Cheque System, was published by the Commonwealth Government and outlines 2 key milestone dates. By 30 June 2028, industry will cease issuing new personal, commercial, government and bank cheques. Any cheques written after this date will not be accepted and no payment will be made. By 30th of September 2029, industry will cease accepting any personal, commercial, government and bank cheques. Effectively, cheques will no longer be accepted for payment by financial institutions, and this will mark the end of cheques in Australia. Cheques are currently relied upon for all paper dealings lodged via Australia Post or the Drop and Go facility at Land Services. As such, there has been industry concern regarding an alternative payment method for manual dealings, especially since many of the major banks have started their transition away from cheques well in advance of these milestone dates. Looking at the Big Four, as of early 2026, NAB has phased out chequebooks by default for new business accounts and has limited their chequebook replacement service. ANZ has ceased chequebooks for new personal accounts in 2024 and ceased issuing cheques for business accounts in 2025. CBA has ceased cheques for new business accounts and replacement chequebooks for existing customers is by request only, with no default reissue. Westpac facilities are much the same and only have a limited cheque replacement service remains for the time being. Consequently, the Office of the Registrar General and Land Services SA have collaborated to deliver a cheque replacement solution for dealings lodged in paper. The solution, known as the Online Payment Gateway, has been developed to facilitate an alternate method for payment of manual dealing lodgement fees. The SALIS Online Payment Gateway is a secure online facility that allows you to pay manual dealing registration fees quickly and conveniently. It accepts payment via Visa and MasterCard, including both credit and debit cards. At a high level, the lodgement channels will remain unchanged, and lodging agents will continue to lodge manual dealings via Australia Post and the Drop and Go facility. Dealings lodged over the counter may also be eligible for this service depending on the circumstances. Upon receiving the lodged dealings, Land Services SA will proceed to data capture the dealing series. Cheques and cash payments will be processed immediately, and the dealings will enter the queue for examination. Dealings identified without a cheque or cash payment will be processed via the online payment gateway solution by default. Immediately after data capture is completed, an automated email is sent to the lodging agent via the email address that is recorded against their agent code. This email will include the list of dealing numbers in the series and instructions for making payment, including a direct link to the Salus online payment gateway. The lodging agent accesses the link, which takes them through to the Salus payment window, displaying the dealing series and the fees. The agent then proceeds to make payment, which redirects the agent to ANZ Payment Gateway for payment via card. After successfully making the payment, the lodging agent will then be able to download a copy of the receipt immediately. As a safeguard, a receipt batch job will run and an email with a receipt link will be emailed to the agent within 24 hours of the transaction. The automatically generated email with the payment link and payment identifier will be sent to the email address recorded against the lodging agent's Salus profile. Land Services will not be able to issue a payment link if the lodging agent does not have an email recorded against their Salus account. Please ensure the email recorded in Salus is up to date and is the address you would prefer to receive these emails to. The email will include reference to the dealing prefixes and numbers within the dealing series. This will be followed by a payment link, which will take the agent directly into Salus to proceed with the payment. Alternatively, there are instructions to access Salus and navigate the menu to the general search and then dealing payment screens. This unique payment identifier included in the email can then be input to look up the payment details. It is important to note that a separate email will be generated for each dealing series lodged. This is a Salus requirement to ensure efficient accounting and payment reconciliation. Please be aware of the date you receive the email, as the payment link and identifier will only remain valid for 7 calendar days from the date of issue. Please ensure you store your emails securely and be careful not to delete emails before payment is made. Should this occur, you will need to contact Land Services SA to cancel and reissue the payment link. In the event you have any concerns or require assistance, Land Services SA can be contacted for support. Payment of the dealing series can be made via accessing the direct link from the email, or via navigating Salus to the general search and then dealing payment screens before inputting the unique payment identifier. When clicking the link in the email, agents are directed to the dealing payment confirmation page in Salus, seen at the bottom of this slide. This page displays the dealings, fee type, and fee amount. The agent must enter in a contact name and contact phone number and acknowledge the Salus terms and conditions. Please note, agents can do this as a guest user of Salus and there is no need for them to log in. This functionality was considered in the event that an administration or finance team member could action payment without requiring login credentials. It will also support self-represented parties, especially regional or remote members of the public lodging via Australia Post, who will unlikely have a Salus account. When using the payment identifier, the agent will need to access the Salus menu and navigate to the general search and then the dealing payment screen. This will display dealing payment search screen, shown on the right of this slide. The agent then will enter the payment identifier into the search field and click search. If a match is found, the dealing payment confirmation page will be displayed. After entering the required information into the dealing payment confirmation screen and clicking confirm order, Salus will direct the agent to the ANZ payment gateway. This allows processing of card information through a secure ANZ payment gateway. LSSA does not collect information entered into the gateway. The ANZ payment gateway will look similar to the image on the right of this slide. Agents will be required to input the billing information into the ANZ gateway, including name, address, phone, and email. This is followed by the card information to allow the payment to be processed. Once payment has been completed and the gateway confirms the payment was successful, the agent is redirected to a dealing payment result page. An example of this is shown on the left side of the slide. Agents can download their tax invoice directly from the dealing payment result page. Alternatively, Salus will automatically send an email to the agent with a link to download the receipt. Please note that the receipt link will expire after 90 days. Therefore, ensure you have downloaded your receipt within this time frame for accounting purposes and/or your client file. Agents have 7 calendar days in which to complete a successful payment via the payment gateway. After this time, Salus will automatically expire the link and payment identifier that were emailed to the agent. The Land Services team will then promptly requisition the dealing for non-payment of the fees. The dealing will not be examined at this stage, and therefore the requisition will not include other corrections that may be needed. If required, a payment gateway record can be generated to allow the agent to make the online payment. This will trigger a new link and payment identifier to be generated and emailed to the agent. The old link and payment identifier will no longer work as they have expired. Land Services has adopted a 7-day payment period to avoid significant delays with dealing registrations. Whilst dealings will maintain their time and date priority, dealing examination will not commence until payment is received. Please contact our office at your earliest convenience should you require a new link to be generated for the payment. Important things to note with the new online payment gateway. If there is no cheque provided at the time of lodgement, Land Services will assume that payment will be made via the online payment gateway, and therefore a link will be generated and emailed to the agent. Land Services will calculate lodgement fees based on the dealings lodged and issue the payment link accordingly. An individual email and link will be generated per dealing series. This is required for accurate accounting and reconciliation within Salus. The payment link will remain active for 7 calendar days, after which the dealing series will be requisitioned for non-payment of fees and the link will no longer be active. Dealing series awaiting payment via the online payment gateway will sit outside the dealing examination queue and will not progress until payment is made. Dealing series paid via the online payment gateway cannot involve mixed or split payment methods involving cheques or cash. The only exception to this is payments made via RevNet. Large payments, such as ad valorem fees, which involve a Revenue SA stamp, are encouraged to be paid via RevNet, as we appreciate organisations will have credit card limits. Payment information, such as banking, card numbers, or expiry dates, are not saved or stored in Salus. Email links and receipts will be sent automatically to the email address associated with the agent code. Please make sure your Salus account and email is kept up to date. Salus login credentials are not required to execute payment, allowing administrative or bookkeeping staff to action payments. In summary, please be aware of the National Cheque Transition Plan published by the Commonwealth Government and how this will impact your business. Make sure you are ready for the phase out of cheques, as this has potential to impact several other aspects of real estate transactions in South Australia. The online payment gateway will be the default method when dealing lodgements are not accompanied by a cheque payment. Please treat the email link and payment identifier with importance, as you will need the link or payment identifier to pay the relevant lodgement fees. Deleted or lost emails will require the existing link to be cancelled and a new link generated. Whilst dealings will maintain their order of lodgement priority against the certificate of title, the examination and registration process will not proceed until payment is made. Agents have 7 calendar days in which to complete a successful payment via the payment gateway. After this time, the link and payment identifier will expire, and the dealing series will be requisitioned. The online payment of registration fees guide and frequently asked questions can be found on the Land Services website. This document contains detailed instructions on how to use the online payment gateway. Land Service SA's Industry Education Hub has a range of educational and support materials to assist you in your day-to-day work. This can be found by clicking on For Professionals, then Industry Education Hub on the homepage of Land Services website. A copy of today's webinar will be published on the Industry Education Hub, together with recordings of previously held webinars. That concludes the recorded webinar section. Thank you for listening. Please remain online for the live Q&A session with our subject matter experts.